Okay. So, hey everyone. You've got Matt, one of the engineers working on Boardom. I guess the only engineer right now. And we have one of my loyal users, Marty, over here, who goes by Dangerous Dove. Say hi.
Looking forward to playing some games today.
Yeah, yeah. So once again, like last week, this is going to be pretty unstructured, but I would like to talk a little bit about improving kind of the experience behind playing timed games. So in that effort, I think we should also, you and me, Marty, we should play some timed checkers games. Do you want to play like a 3-2 or 5-5 or some other time control?
That you're talking about increments, right? So that's 5 minutes, 5 second increment.
Yeah, yeah.
3-2 sounds fine.
All right, sweet. So I'm sending you a challenge. Uh, and here we go. Okay.
So that's at least to my eye a little unusual about how Boredom does time games is have at maximum a minute to make your move, no matter how large your time well is.
Yeah, I was so that was an attempt at fixing a problem which I'm not sure is really a problem right now. And that was actually one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about. So I guess you've noticed since you've been around on the site for a good while. Um, so right, so you've played I guess checkers on a few different apps. Have you played like more popular games like chess online too? Like I'm wondering kind of like what you've seen on different sites for like handling timed games, like what works and what doesn't
Sure,
work.
sure. Yeah, so chess is definitely my main game. Um, the big strengths of Boredom is that it's one of the few sites that really offers checkers in a format like this.
Mm-hmm.
But as a result, it's tough to play anywhere except here, right? So it's tough to say I'm a checkers player.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I play on chess.com quite a bit.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with chess.com and Chess. Um, so, well, actually, I'm definitely more familiar with Chess right now. So I know that on Chess, what they do is they will try to guess if you've like abandoned the game, and I think they have some heuristics like if you went offline and didn't make a move in 35 seconds, or things like that. They don't have this like special one max 1 minute per move kind of rule that I've added as we'll call it a hack for now, to prevent that. Um, so does chess.com do that, or does the time just run all the way down whenever people abandon the game?
Although the way they try to hedge their bets on that is you only have 1 minute to make your first move.
Okay.
If you've made your first move, you're then free to take as long as you want.
All right, that makes sense. And then I think Lead Chess does is even a little more aggressive. They give you like 20 seconds to make your first move. Um, okay.
For a game like for a game like chess, you should be able to come up with your first move pretty quickly, and
Yeah.
checkers even more so, right?
Exactly. Well, I think for any of these games, because it's you shouldn't be surprised by the board position.
So the thing though is when you I guess presumably it'll change. The problem with having a minute maximum is
Mm-hmm.
you don't have sort of go into the tank moments like you'd call them, where you really because usually in a game you can tell when a position is critical and when you need to spend a while thinking about it.
Yeah, I agree.
So I know on chess.com I typically play 15-minute with 10-second increment.
Oh wow,
One or
I'm not that patient. Mm.
that's even a little quick for me. So let's see, one second, I gotta think through my move
Yeah,
here.
you're actually a little low on time too. Um,
So the benefit to applying a time control like that is positions during a game,
oh
you
my
can sort
god.
of figure out that something critical has happened.
Yeah.
You can use 5 minutes to think through move.
Like what I just did. That was.
You might have wanted a few more minutes on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely wanted some more time. Okay, yeah, I totally agree with that. Because like each move isn't going to be the same amount of time, and yeah, those critical moves. So okay, so I mean, it really sounds like the 1 minute rule should go away. That's an attempt, like not a very good attempt at fixing the problem. So I mean, it sounds like chess.com and Lichess have already kind of figured this out. Well, I guess another question that I can ask is it really that bad if you have to wait? Like maybe you could just play another game with someone, or do something else. Is that do you find that pretty annoying, or do you really not?
Yeah, so what's frustrating is if someone realizes they're losing, sometimes they'll sort of rage quit and the clock run out, and that's frustrating. But I don't know what actually happens behind the scenes, but chess.com, at least on paper, says we'll punish people who do that too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I've seen that on Lichess. Actually, they have like a similar kind of behavior where I play on mobile, and unfortunately, in some of the venues that I frequent have very poor internet connectivity. So like, I'll play, and then I'll be winning, and my connection will drop, and I'll disconnect, and Lichess thinks I like just trolled and waited for the game to end.
That's happened to me as well too.
Yeah, so I got warned. It says like we're gonna ban you for the next 10 minutes. Be a better person, basically. Okay, so that it is kind of annoying. So I guess it does need to be solved in some way. Yeah. So I guess what I can do is I can lift the 1 minute time thing.
By the way, one thing I just noticed is we're now playing 10-minute checkers.
Oh yeah, I said 5. Oh, 10 minute. Oh dang.
3 minutes. All right, well,
okay.
You have it.
Okay, yeah, so that's a bug actually. So and it looks like Eric just asked a question. I'll get to that in just a second. So rematch time controls change. Cool.
As I recall, this was the only time control when the site first started.
It was, yeah. They were just casual and timed games. And now hopefully there will be many more timed games. But to answer your question, Eric, yeah, thanks for asking. So I'm gonna pull my phone up really quick if I can find it. So actually, if you have Android, you're kind of in luck. So I have a little icon right here, if you can see it. What I did was when I go up to the site, you can pin that to your home screen, and I pull that up, and it's basically, it behaves like a proper application, and you can see I have the same game going on here. You do get push notifications with this, and if you're on iOS, you don't get notifications. We actually are building in the background. We're building an iOS, an Android solution. iOS would probably be the first, but if you're interested in being like an alpha tester for that, definitely reach out to me on Boardom. You've got my name on the stream. If I can point to it, so you can go to that link and play a game with me, or join our Discord. There's all sorts of oh my god, I'm gonna fall victim to my own rule around. Oh no, that's my phone. The low time sound was going on my phone.
I was wondering, like, you seemed like you were doing fine. But...
yeah, I guess I'm not sure what happened there, but cool. So that makes sense. So that definitely answers a lot of questions, and I think whatever tweaks I make, it's probably not going to be perfect, but we'll go from there. We'll adjust from there. Should definitely be better than what we have right now. Cool. So how long have you been playing on this site? I know it's been kind of off and on, but you've largely played on here for a good amount of time. Oh my god. Okay.
I had to say maybe years, sometime around that margin.
How many years? That you cut out just when you said that.
Sometime between 2.5 and 3, if I had to guess.
Okay. Yeah, so pretty much, yeah. So I think you joined pretty much when this first went online, which is cool because you've seen it over the years. Um, yeah. So could you, I guess, kind of speak to how your experience has been, finding opponents to play? I know, it sometimes it worked well, and a lot of times it hasn't, and we're really focusing on improving that right now. But maybe if you can kind of talk about, yeah, what do you think worked well or hasn't, and how you think we might make it better.
Or yeah. So I mean, if I had to say, matchmaking's probably big standing weakness I think currently exists with the site.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the user interface is perfect, and once if you're trying to invite a friend, that also works quite well. Um, Probably the biggest strength of the site is, from my mind, is how quickly you can invite other people.
Cool.
If I'm talking with a friend or something, it's very easy for me just to send a link. I don't know exactly how you'd remedy this, but what I find is to find a game otherwise is to do just the simple ranking. You rank up for a game, right?
Mm-hmm.
I find I do that for ends up being a timeout, where it's a new player who joined the site, didn't find a game, and then just left and never come back.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you've complained about that as well as some of my other users that have been here for a while. Like I know Danny, who's also really good at checkers, has mentioned that a few times. Yeah, so I guess one thing that I could do to make it so that users are, I guess, a little more invested and don't run away is, I could maybe well, I could, I guess if they challenge someone, then maybe they have to give an email or something. But if you're sending out an invite to someone else, then yeah, I think maybe I can play around with that. So if they come and they want to play with someone, I need to make sure that they have some way to get notifications, and then maybe they can only challenge like one or two people. I don't know. That's a really tricky problem.
At the end of the day, sort of, if a person really doesn't care about their account, and box them out that way, because I can just say, well, ban my account. I was never coming back anyways. So at least the sense I get is how quickly someone can get started and get playing is a really big strength of the platform.
Yeah, I agree, and I want to keep that, but or at least keep most of it.
Sure.
Yeah. Hey, TK driver. Yeah.
I need to think through this.
What I've noticed when I started streaming, I've done just a few sessions, but I feel like my rating goes down by at least 300 or 400 points when I try to talk at the same time. It's tough. It's hard.
Mine as well.
Yeah.
But some of that's just realizing when I need to shut up and make a move.
Yeah. Ooh. Ooh, yeah, you almost gave me an elbow to break. So, for
I realize that,
yeah. So for the people that aren't checkers players, so if he had moved here, then that would make kind of this L-shaped elbow. Where then if I go 10-15, this jump is forced, and then I have a double jump. But he just blocked that by going here. So that was a good move.
But to tell you the truth, because your piece on 28 would be immobile, so I don't know. It's not some if.
Well, I probably could have freed it up with this piece on 18, right?
Would have been a sacrifice and it would have been even, but
yeah,
I turned the elbow into a support, so that's 2 for 1.
I see. Yeah, there you go. Nice. Okay, yeah. So matchmaking. I've had a lot of ideas around this. I've even thought about kind of asynchronous recommendations. So I don't know if you've ever looked at like dating sites. So they have kind of the same problem, right? Because you want to like you want to yeah. Thanks, Eric. Very strategic. You want to get people to match up and chat with each other, but they're not necessarily going to be online at the same time. So so like what some of the sites like OkCupid does is actually they have what all do they do? So they have like so you can search. The search is pretty rich. Um, um, you can search, and then I think every day or every week or so you get like weekly recommendations of like three people you can message. So there's not like the whole paradox of choice, which I guess you being a philosophy major are pretty familiar with. Yeah. Um, and then there was well, I guess that's one of the big ones because so then that kind of makes me think maybe it would make sense to have some kind of like email that would say like hey, look, here's like Kookaburra. She's a strong checkers player, and you're a strong checkers player. Maybe you guys should play some games. Would something like that be valuable to you? Do you think?
Yeah. I think I think that would be a good idea, and I think what would on it is just a simple, here's who's online right now.
Uh huh. So actually, there was a feature that we added about a week ago. I don't know if you've seen this, but have you noticed? God, damn it! um, have you noticed the user search feature that was added?
It did, but um, is that looking just for specific users, or is that just whoever's online? I didn't quite see.
Um, so it's a few different things. So by default it filters by people that have been online recently, and people that have played a couple of games. Hopefully there's not really too many users that if you challenge them to a game they would just play one move or not even play any moves and never come back. Um, so that page should be a lot more green dots with more activity on the site. Um, okay, so you have seen it, but it sounds like you haven't really gotten much value from it yet.
If I don't have anyone to search for by name, I don't have any reason to use it, at least personally.
Okay. So right, it sounds like I guess most of the time you would play with other people on here. They would be challenging you. So like I guess most of your games were like inbound requests instead of you looking for other people to play. Is that
Great. When I was most recently active, that was more or less what I was doing. Actually, that's for Connect 4. I know I gained a lot of rating for that. I
yeah?
don't think I challenged anyone to reach the top position. That was just
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think the kind of the oh, Dove is a bit quiet. Thank you, TK Driver. I turned that down because my mic is a little quiet, but I'll turn it back up. Um, Good call. Um, right. What were you saying?
um. So you were asking me whether or not most of my games were me challenging other people
Okay,
or being challenged.
I see.
Um. Yeah. So I've done this a couple ways. One was just I'd queue up to my maximum of games allowed in whatever game I wanted to progress in,
Mm-hmm.
and most of those would be timeouts. A couple would stick, or I would just leave a couple spots open in order to be challenged because you can't do both at the same time.
Right. Yeah, and that was another thing that I really wanted to change too, around like the limit of the number of games. So that was also kind of engineering around a problem that I foresaw. So the 1 minute well, I'm happy to get rid of that. Should have that gone in the next few days, and some new handling of that. But like the maximum number of games. So I had this idea that users like you or people at like the top of leaderboards or people that are online really frequently would be challenged by like 50 or actually no, that happened at first. So the suggested kind of users at the bottom, there were 10 or 10 like 5 to 10 users that got like 100 requests over the period of a couple weeks, which was really overwhelming. So yeah, so that was something that I'm still kind of thinking through. Like, how do you manage the number of inbound requests and make sure it's like not too much? Like, should there be controls there, or should you set a limit? Like, I don't want it to be too much work to manage that. Okay, thank you, TK. I'll turn it down a little more.
Actually, TK Driver has something that was my experience too, which was after you beat the same person 2 or 3 times, they'd stop challenging you.
Oh, yeah.
I'm assuming that's probably his or her experience as well. That even if a person's willing to, I got a lot of challenges through being high on the leaderboard, but then I'd beat them 2 or 3 times, and that would sort of be the end of it.
Okay. Were they like close games, or was it just like a total blowout?
A new person looking, who I presume, let me make a move real quick here.
Okay.
It was a new person who I presume would be looking for games, and they thought, well, I don't know where else to look for users, so leaderboard looks good to me.
Right, right.
That's a guess. I don't know for certain, but
That makes sense. Okay, so right, so the matchmaking, because right now it's greedy. Whenever you create a public game and someone else does, it'll just pair up anyone that the site can right away. So I think that kind of works, but yeah, I definitely need to do some experimentation with like the asynchronous kind of recommendation of users to play. Um, so yeah, maybe I'll have like a test group of 10% or so of people, and yeah. So TK Driver, yeah, he's saying he's the same thing. He blew people out of the water, and I imagine chess, but he's pretty good at some of the other games too. And then they leave. Um, yeah, so I guess pairing up people with a similar rank would really help.
I'm also sensitive to the fact that big enough for certain games to actually have.
Could you repeat that?
Sensitive to the fact that the user base isn't big enough for certain games to actually be able to say, we have people in this rating and a middle strata, and you only match up there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At least for me, if someone challenged me to a game, I don't think I ever really said no. I'd at least accept it and come back on the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Seems that for me, if you're given a challenge directly, you're more likely to than if you had likely to accept it. Which for me, if I thought it worked in the opposite way, meant that a list of people who are online would give me people to challenge directly.
Okay. You cut out a little bit. Could you repeat that, because that sounded pretty important?
If from my own perspective, I'm very likely to accept a challenge from someone.
Uh-huh.
That means a list of people who are online would allow me to challenge other people, and hopefully they'd be somewhat likely to accept as well.
I see. Yeah, so discovering other active players was really hard, right?
Let's see. I have to make some decisions here.
So I guess you would say that discovering other active players was pretty hard to do?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Discovering active players in the sense of could play a lot of games with, but even if I just wanted to play a game, it wasn't always easy to find.
I see. Okay, yeah, so that's a good point. So I can play around with some ideas surfacing when other people are online. I had an idea too of maybe like notifications can show up on the page, that like this user came online, maybe you can challenge them. So I think there's a lot of stuff that can be done there. That might be good. Okay.
But the problem is now I can do this.
Yeah, and then I'm forced to do this, and then you can do whatever.
And then I gain either the one on 24 or 7.
Yeah, but actually 310 was probably even a stronger move than doing that jump right away, wasn't it?
Could be the 24 or 7 though, so I still get an extra jump.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, yeah, either way you're one. You've won.
Same to me on that.
Okay. All right. Okay, so that's definitely a lot to think about. That's good to hear. I will experiment with a lot of those ideas. Okay. Was there anything else that I wanted to talk about? No. Cool. I guess we can finish up this game and maybe play another, and that'll be good for today.
Sounds good to me.
Sweet. Excuse me. Yeah. Shut down.
Certain though that this definitely is the best site to play checkers on. No site comes close in terms of user interface that I've found.
That's great to hear. Yeah, I've been really, I've expressed a lot of concern in the user, and I've put a lot of focus into building the user experience. And I think in the first couple years with the site being online, neglected some of the other important aspects because they were less fun for me to work on, like community building or handling of timeout games, like timed out games and things like that. So, oh my God, am I already? No, this is okay. But yeah, thank you. That's good to hear.
This isn't huge, but I think it had occurred to me in the past. You were asking people what other sorts of games you wanted to have online.
Uh-huh.
I forget the exact recommendation, but it was something like Monopoly or something other like that.
Yeah, so I think that was recommended a while ago. So are you suggesting that game too, or?
Oh, I was actually going to mention that just as a branding point. It's not the hugest thing in the world, but definite feel I get off the site is it's for board games that don't involve chance.
Right.
It's fact strategy games or something like that. Like what the site is, and branding's flexible, but it seemed to me that so far have been very much where they are. The players play through with their strategy, and then that's sort of how it is.
Yeah, I see exactly what you're saying, and I guess I'll make it very explicit on kind of my criteria, with one exception for these games. So, so the games that I add are classic board games that you can devote a lifetime to, but not master. Would you say that's kind of accurate for all the games on here, except for 4, obviously? Yeah.
There's some sort of 4 tournament that people play. Power to them, but
yeah. I think in 4 actually there's a fairly simple set of 7 rules that if you follow you're guaranteed to play perfectly. So maybe I'm making that up, but I feel like 4 isn't nearly as competitive as these other games. But on that point, I agree. So in that sense, I feel like Monopoly. So TK Driver thinks Monopoly has enough strategy to be a good fit for the site. I think if we are to add games like that, I think that's probably kind of way down down the line. But you said like there aren't any there. You don't really see like a game with chance belonging on here. But have you ever played backgammon?
I was just about to bring that up as an example.
Yeah.
So, I don't deny for a second that Monopoly has strategy and that, um, I mean, look at a game like poker.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Who
yeah,
won't
yeah.
win long term in poker? But a branding thing more than anything else, it feels like a very different type of strategy experience than a game like chess or what have you.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. Um, well, there's definitely, I think, plenty of games, plenty of really compelling games. I think you and I have even talked about like Nine Men's Morris before, I believe.
Great addition, yeah.
Yeah, and I know you've played a handful of games, but Nefertafel, I'm surprised by like how unpopular that game is, because it's to me it's been really fun. I think you're gonna beat me by me running out of moves here, which is
Let's see, one, two, three. Yeah, I guess I could go for a run out of moves. So I think the big problem with TOEFL is that there is no rules page.
oh yeah, yeah, I agree. So that's a big point too. TOEFL, no rules.
So I've been familiar with TOEFL as a family of games. I played the one on the site once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
I was totally in the dark about until it popped up mid game. So something like you can capture against the throne, or pieces can't move against the throne, or you can't capture against the wall.
Yeah, all those little nuances
Happen.
that if
Yeah.
aren't explained, you find out the hard way in the middle of a game. I agree. Yeah. So I had an ambitious idea, which we may do in the medium to long term future around having like a kind of an interactive excuse me, an interactive like AI. So like in chess, you're playing, it'll like if you pick up a pawn, it'll like over the chat, it'll say like this is how it moves, or if you pick up a knight, and then if you're in check, it'll explain that. So it'll give you like all of the kind of rules contextually instead of like a big wall of text that you have to read. Um, so that was an idea that I've mentioned on here before, but obviously that's much more time consuming than writing up like a rules page and linking to that. So actually one of the things on my short list is to build out that rules page, and it's good that you say that again, because I was wondering which game I should do first. So TOEFL is probably should be the first one, and I'll go.
I don't think. Yep. Sorry.
Yeah, so that would just be like a Medium article with like text and images for now.
Well, I don't think it's one or the other, right? Because even if you do that interactive user experience where you learn all the moves through being guided by prompts, mid-game you may still want to reference it. Roll page, skim to the thing you want, and read it.
Yeah, that's another point too, because maybe right. So, well, I was going to organize the rules. I already have an article kind of that's being drafted. So at the very top there's like the high level rules. So like if you're playing a few different checkers variants, I guess for this English checkers, it would be men can only jump forwards, and kings, whenever they capture, are not flying kings. And that would be in some more easily digestible text. And then you would go over in the rules in detail, and then any kind of corner cases, and then at the very bottom would be like clarifications over things that might be confusing. So that I think that makes a lot of sense for the article. But on the page itself, having like a few bullet points like that you can see without having to go to another page. Yeah, I agree with that too. So kind of like three solutions there. So you have the article with rules plus short list of rules in app, and then plus interactive AI. Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know exactly how it would look at the end of the day, but at least in my head, I picture something like just learn to play, or rules at a brief. But then when you're actually in game, there right home, replay, draw, surrender, you just game rules or something like that.
Uh-huh.
You just click that to be a little comprehensive.
Yeah, so it would be, yeah, it would probably be, I haven't decided where, but yeah, it would probably be like one of the buttons near like the home or history or draw or surrender button. Um, yeah, and then of course another big item too is that we're not really talking about because I think it's much more straightforward. Not too many ways to do it, but showing the like the move list. I know a lot of users have asked for that in the past. So that's on the, I guess, the medium term list. Yeah. Cool.
It's permanently visible, or just listing out, or what's the deal there?
Yeah, so I think that would be dependent on the screen size. So, like on mobile, like on a small phone, it would probably just be, um, I don't know. I think I would look at other apps and see how they handle it. But so I guess if I go to Lichess and I have a game, I don't think that they show the move list. But yeah, so on mobile, I could probably handle it like chat, where you hit a button and then the list comes up. And if your screen's bigger, then you can have the list of moves always visible, and things like that. So Lichess definitely does not show the move list on mobile, so that's good to know. So something like that, yeah. And by the way, if anyone watching now on Twitch or later on YouTube would like to challenge us, if you want someone that's moderately easy to beat, you can play me, boardom.io/play/Matt. Or if you want more of a challenge, you can play Marty over here, and the link is on the stream.
Oh, let's hope I win this game so I can actually deserve that praise. But
Right. Yeah, I think you're 3-0 so far.
Calculate well. There's some of these games in between though.
Yeah, well,
that's about right.
Fortunately,
about right.
you have a lot of time because there's the bug with the time controls right now. This seems forced. So yeah, in checkers, there are it's very easy to eliminate moves. So like 11-7, 11-8 are terrible because I lose a piece right away. 12-18 is terrible. 26-23 is terrible. 21-17 is terrible. So this and these three are the only moves worth considering.
You have 22-17, right? If you're doing candidate moves.
22-17. You're right. Thank you.
I haven't thought through it. I haven't thought through it.
Right. Yeah.
But it is a move.
Yeah. So 4 moves worth investigating, but I'm gonna go with this one, even though you're supposed to keep your king's row intact. Oh man, what would Danny say? Okay, so Lichess has an option to disable the. I guess you're talking about the move list on probably desktop if you have like a big window open. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so I guess people don't like seeing all that text and stuff jumping around the screen. I think even actually chess.com had like a low distraction mode where it would hide like your opponent's username and just about everything, and it would pretty much just be the board. So
yeah, I use that when I play on the site.
Really? Why? Well, I guess I kind of know the answer, but yeah, why?
Like it hides your opponent's rating, it hides all the chat, all the stuff beside, and it just allows, if especially for me, if I just go into the no distraction mode. So all I have is just the board,
Hmm.
and there's something mental to that I like.
Does it show like the captured pieces too? Like the, I guess what I call as a graveyard, or
I don't recall,
okay.
but I think so.
Well, yeah, I can figure that out pretty easily. Um, that's interesting. But is that something that you would want here too, or uh, at some point? It's not really a high priority, but I'm wondering if that's something that you ever think would make sense on this site too, or not.
It's clean enough for me that I've never really felt the need for that.
Okay, I was hoping you'd say that. And pat myself on the back, I guess, for that.
If you're talking about features, would be just a simple block user feature. Because I know sometimes
Okay.
a user who offers you a challenge, and then if a person's not playing well, but then they also occasionally get a user who after every single move will offer a draw.
Oh yeah, that's annoying.
A game takes forever to finish because they keep waiting to see if you take it, and until you want to play another game against that user, and they'll send me 5 invites in a row, and then I can't play any more games. So I have to sort of wait for them to.
Okay, cool. That's a really good data point too.
Moves, my friend.
Right. So okay, so the block user feature, that definitely is not controversial. I see a lot of value there. Um, okay, cool. I think I might have some questions to ask you offline when I kind of digest all of this again.
Sure.
But
I'm always happy to talk.
great. Yeah, this has been massively helpful. And I'm also going to be playing in a little bit with sometime soon when I'm gonna play again with Chrono Rub. So he's a new user on here. I think he plays a lot of Reversi.
I think that's the one game on the site that I don't play.
Oh, I like the game, but I feel like a lot of my moves are still kind of aimless. Where I have an idea of just the basic, really basic strategy, but like in Reversi, for me, it's just so hard to see ahead because the board changes so much with each move. Um, and I guess similarly with Nine Men's Morris, just because the board is so cramped. Um, but
And Morris is a brutal game. I actually I sort of have a soft spot for it. I had a friend in college who I used to play chess against quite a lot. And Nine Men's Morris, I remember reading some article. Someone tried to do a study of what higher level strategy there was in Nine Men's Morris.
oh,
Absolutely none. It's just a pure mechanical calculation based game. So we found a really good way to warm up before we'd play a game of chess.
oh yeah,
So I empathize with that. You want to think strategically and you just can't. It literally is just in 10 moves I'll lose versus in 10 moves I'll win.
yeah. That's I guess that's kind of refreshing to hear that it's just kind of the raw calculation. And then I guess what also happens with that is there's all sorts of different play like strategies. Like in chess, there's pretty much always the strategy of control the center, and like in the mid or in late game, it's all about pawn pushing. Am I down? Yeah, I'm down a piece.
I hit you with a 2-for-1
You did.
at one point.
I remember that. Yeah. So in chess, there's kind of that convergence of play styles. Even though, of course, chess is still a very rich game, but it sounds like it's definitely different than Nine Men's Morris in that aspect.
It's not a bad equalizing game in that aspect, because if someone really is just good at raw calculation, if they played a lot of other board games, you can actually be pretty reasonably good at Nine Men's Morris from the get-go.
Cool.
Whereas in chess, you're just sort of hopeless.
Right, yeah, because I guess chess, there's so much pattern recognition and not so much calculation,
Don't get me
relatively
wrong,
speaking. Yeah.
calculation and tactics are a huge, huge, huge part of the game, but
Oh yeah.
a new player cannot hope derive, the dragon Sicilian opening just by sitting down and thinking hard enough. It just won't happen.
Yeah, yeah. Smartest person in the world would be crushed by a average club player, probably, just starting out.
Full game in that aspect because there's so much that pattern and piece activity is this is ultimately sort of a concrete game, right? They're after a billion moves, this will be a good one and this will be a bad one, but so much of it is also pattern and structure. But on the flip side, Nine Men's Morse is a cool game too, precisely because it doesn't have any of that. Precisely because it is just figuring out how to make a good move.
Hmm. So, how have you heard Reverse E pronounced? Because TK Driver is being playing devil's advocate here again, saying he's heard it's pronounced differently.
I never heard it called Othello, so I'm a bad person to ask.
Oh yeah.
Sort of heretic or not, but I'll take it either way.
All right. Well, this is completely lost. Because you're gonna have my piece. My man on 21 is not going to be able to move, and with your 3 kings to 2 kings, you said earlier today, which is a good refresher because I knew this at one point when I was reading through Checker's book, and then I forgot about it. That 3 kings to 2 kings, for me, this is a lost endgame. Yeah.
The tickler here is that we're now playing a timed game, so
Yeah, with increment though. So
with increment, I think
hopefully the increment's still working actually, because it might not be. Oh, it looks like the increment's not working.
It's not working.
No. So there's
Okay.
yeah.
I'll play quicker then.
I'll be sure to fix that very soon.
I'd try something safe here then.
Yeah, that's pretty safe. My only hope is to play fast enough for you to lose. And if I win, the only reason I win is because my site is buggy.
Dev interference. I think that's called insider trading in other industries, but
Exactly.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Should I actually think about this?
Nope. Oh, crap. Yeah, there you go.
Yes, I did. Okay.
Good job. Good job. All right.
Okay.
Well, yeah, thanks for your time today, Marty. This has been really awesome.
And hopefully some of the feedback was useful, and hopefully the people at home at least enjoyed watching the games.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thanks for engaging us, TK Driver and Eric. And we'll see you next week. Thanks. All right. End stream.